What's going on, fam? What's up? What's up? What's up? Yo, welcome to another episode of No Clue. If you're tuning in with us, go ahead, do me a favor, like, share, subscribe on YouTube. Share it on YouTube, like on Facebook, subscribe on Facebook, join our Facebook group, join our Instagram group, join our Twitch group. Subscribe to us on Patreon. Join the Facebook family. Email us at nocluetheshow@gmail.com. Talk to us in the chat box. What else can they do?
Christian Mingle.
Christian Mingle. I'm not on Christian Mingle. I was about to say something, but I'm gonna get in trouble. Yo, what's going on, everybody? How everybody doing? It's March 15th. How everybody doing? Okay, so y'all gonna make me check in the hard way. DJ, how's school going?
It's going.
Are we still on, the dean's list? Graduating valedictorian,
That's the
magna cum laude,
plan.
summa cum
That's the
laude.
plan. If I could find these 5 articles for this paper.
Put it in the chat group. Somebody email you the articles. Baby mama, how the baby doing?
We're doing good. We're growing. 5.5 months pregnant, y'all. It's crazy. He's measuring ahead still, 1 pound and 4 ounces. I kind of got to see him on 5D ultrasound, but he's stubborn. I don't know where he gets it from. He covered half his face up. Who knows? Don't look at me like that.
Did anybody say anything? Nope, but guess what the hit dog just did? Terry, how is being Superwoman?
Superwoman. It is. It is. It really is. I've been doing good. I'm getting ready for my son's first birthday. He will be one.
Ow, ow, ow.
And the usual stuff working. I preached again this past Sunday.
I saw it.
It was
Footage was
everything.
shaky, but it was good.
That was a whole word. Everything she
So are
said
we
just
gonna
about
be
was
Pastor
Facebookable.
Arterial soon? Oh, okay, got it.
Don't give nobody no idea.
Please don't.
My life has just been. I can't complain. It's been good. Like I joined a church home here in St. Louis. I am being, and when I tell you, it is amazing. We have an elder Cindy. Not to shout her out, but I belong to Elder Cindy. Come through, Billy. Billy said, "Pastor Arterial soon." Clip it. Yes.
Hold on, Billy.
uh, but I love my church. I have a lot of friends here. I found some good places to eat. Chinese food is still disgusting. But I found some real good places to eat in St. Louis. Yeah, I've really been enjoying my time up here. It's starting to get warm. So y'all are in Georgia, right? So now we always say Georgia weather is bipolar. St. Louis weather is schizophrenic. It was 70 degrees, and then the next day it snowed. This shit is crazy up here.
That
Oh,
was
I
here.
just
That's
saw
how it
y'all
was
got snow
here.
down there
That's how it
too.
was here over the weekend.
Yep.
I
We were in
was
the
like,
80s and we woke up Saturday and it's snowing.
Yep. And
I
31
was like,
degrees.
you know what grandmama would say? We living in our last days.
Child, we've been living in the last day since I was 3.
Right.
And
Was we living in your last days when you and granddaddy was shacking? I'm joking, grandma.
Well,
Oh God. Well, all right, guys. Right,
right.
Billy, you in the
Hey,
Midwest. This Midwest weather is crazy, and I know I've developed something called allergies. Yeah,
mhm.
who gets
We ain't
allergies
getting no
in
snow in
freaking
Columbus.
March? This
But
is
here, you're
That's
not in the
that's when it
mountains.
happens. That's when it happens.
Rakia's in
Unfortunately.
Columbus,
Yeah,
Georgia.
I'm in the mountains, so we got some snow.
Who in the mountains?
yeah.
We are damn near in the mountains.
You really are.
Y'all are fun, Terry.
My
All
sister
right,
in law
guys,
said she have to drive to Alabama to come see us.
and you gotta have a
I
Basically.
live in
passport.
Georgia.
That's like when I go visit DJ. I need my passport. He stays so dead gone far.
Oh my God! I don't stay far.
I just need it to be nice weather when I come there in June. I just need it to be nice.
It's gonna be
June is
hot.
gonna it's gonna be hot and it's gonna be dry, humid, hot. So it's still gonna be functional, but it ain't gonna be fun. But it's better than the cold.
Cool.
What we coming to Chicago for in June, Terry?
My husband's
Wow!
Ooh.
I'm so excited for my cast. We're gonna go to JJ's. We're gonna go to Garrett's. We gonna eat.
graduation.
Y'all know we'll be there too, right?
When's Brittany's graduation?
It's in June as well, and it's in Chicago.
Come
His
through.
is
What?
June 12th.
Double turn up. Ew, 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 ew. Oh, then I can show Brittany what good Chinese food tastes like.
Oh,
Thanks.
Ew, ew, ew,
y'all, there's
ew.
a place in Chicago, DJ. It's called Enjoy a Corn.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
black owned, and a friend of
Mhm.
Brittany's actually sent us some popcorn. When I tell you that turtle popcorn has been
It's
giving me life.
everything. Yeah, it's everything.
No, Billy, we are not gonna all move to Chicago in June. Because right after June comes
Oh
wintertime.
no,
I can't do
no,
Chicago
It
winter.
doesn't come that quickly. It's just the
I'm
longest
not moving to
season.
Chicago.
no.
Y'all gonna stop hating on my city. I ain't gonna keep having this. Now I done let y'all have y'all Georgia turn up for the longest, but y'all gonna cut it out. I ain't said
Okay.
nothing about Ratchet ATL. I've been quiet.
Ooh.
Till you do right by
And I said what I
ATL.
said. And I said what I said.
And what you said was some bull.
Oh, but before we move on, one of our members just celebrated a birthday.
Who turned 12 years old?
I hope not 12 having a baby.
No, that's we need somebody to go to jail.
That's right. I called Chevy and sung happy birthday to her.
Yes, and I
I
got to
made her
meet
cry.
somebody.
I made her cry.
You made her
Okay,
cry.
Terry definitely made me cry with
How
her
you make
gift.
her cry?
Because I got her a gift, but it wasn't from me. It was from her son.
Yep,
Aww.
Aww.
she made me cry.
I can't wait to meet little Robert. He gonna be so cute.
Oh my God, he is not little Robert.
When that baby come, I'm like, hey, little Robert, come here. He like, sir, you know your name. You know, I don't care what they say, what they call you. What you would switch your answer to.
Wow.
So,
Oh,
Chevy, you want me to
goodness.
sing happy birthday to you again? You know I will.
No,
No.
no,
Me,
no.
me, me, me,
Oh.
me, you.
Ooh,
All right.
Ooh.
that note was
What Pastor Deidre used to say, if he starts singing, mute that mic.
you have
All
the
right,
power
guys,
to
we're
draw
gonna go
my
to a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we're gonna get right into our say what. No, we don't have a commercial break. We go straight to say what, right? Help me out, y'all. I haven't done this in a minute. Oh God, I miss y'all.
It's too
Twist
funny.
went away.
Oh. Okay, we just go straight to say what. So, production manager, say what?
Say
Say
what?
what?
I can't.
Okay.
I'm
You
so
ain't
glad it's
getting it.
legal here.
I so missed y'all for real. But okay, so tonight's say what is a little sad. I have to be honest, I've kind of been in mourning. I personally feel like I'm a part of this family. One of my favorite shows, the Braxton Family Values, they lost their sister, Miss Tracy Braxton, And y'all, I have like really been in mourning. Like I have literally watched so many episodes trying to go back and have my Tracy moment. They've been actually showing one of my favorite scenes where she was like, if you're old enough to serve coffee, you got to have your own grounds. She was
Oh
talking
yeah, I
about
saw that.
yeah, she was talking about her son moving out of the house at that time, whatever. But I am such a fan, and I am so sad thinking, even though I understand why she kept it a secret because they don't really get to do a lot in private, and
Mhm.
I just hate that as fans because some of us feel like we're Braxtons. I feel like I'm Chave Clay Hay Braxton, like.
Okay, okay.
And some of us, I wish I had known for the simple fact that I wish we could have all, come and been supportive of her. But I do understand, and my love, and yeah, about that. Did y'all hear about it? Y'all Braxton Family Values fans?
I love the Braxtons. What touched me the most was her mom put out a post today on Facebook.
Yeah,
That was the most heartfelt thing that any of them have put out, although they really haven't put out much. But I was concerned about Tamar's reaction because they were the ones that were like this, her and Jesse.
Mhm.
yes,
So I don't. That's who I'm more concerned about. Like, how is she
me
going to
too.
handle this?
So for me, my favorite Tracy moment was when the Braxtons were there was an event going on with President Barack Obama and First Lady Michelle, and the Braxtons came in and Michelle waved at her, and in the middle of their interview, she like, "Hey, Michelle!" And so it was just like Barack and Michelle was doing an interview, and Michelle waved at them, and you hear Tracy yell, "Hey, Michelle!" I was just like, you can. The whole family is real down to earth.
Mhm.
They
Yeah,
real homey people. I think Tony is taking it hard because she bottles up her hurt and she doesn't release it, and so she just put out a statement saying, we're mourning. My sister did pass. Please give my family some space to
Mhm.
mourn because, like Chavez said, everything you do is public knowledge.
yeah,
Like I forgot his name. Black Panther. He was struggling with cancer and didn't tell anybody because people look down on you. Like, why is that? Like,
mhm,
and cancer sucks.
it does.
And then the fact where she had the cancer,
Right.
her life was
Hmm.
singing, and her cancer was in her throat, esophagus,
Hmm.
correct?
Yep.
Yeah, esophagus.
Hmm.
So I'm just like, yeah, DJ.
Yeah, I don't have nothing. I don't. I mean, like, what do you say? I mean,
Yeah,
it's sad, it's unfortunate, and again, you don't really get to see the humanistic side of people during these times because people expect so much of them, so they don't get to be who they want to be and who they authentically need to be to release. So I mean, our condolences. We definitely send our condolences and our heartfelt gratitude for everything that Tracy was and Tracy did and Tracy will still be, as well as what
absolutely.
they have done. But yeah, I don't really know what else to really say.
Rest
Yeah,
in peace,
it's
Tracy.
rest in peace. It's really sad. We love you, Tracy. And listen, we all have so many moments we can YouTube and watch and get our good laugh on because Tracy was always somebody's auntie, sister, and mama.
I was about to
Okay.
say she was the auntie. She's the auntie for real on the Braxtons. She is definitely the auntie. All right, so
Yes.
guys, the same thing we did when Nick Cannon lost his baby. We did it for our virtual grandmother. So we'll observe a moment of silence, just in solidarity with the Braxton family. Let them know you have our love, you have our prayers, and you have our condolences. So we'll take a quick 5 second moment of silence. Amen. This is where the commercial comes in before we go to the main topic. See, I remember it. I remember it. All right, we'll be right back after this commercial break with our main topic, parenting today. Because I ain't got no kids. We'll be right back.
I think for Carlton that his blackness is more palatable for his white classmates.
Come on.
And then you have Will, who's from the hood. I mean, like, yeah, Philly, the way that they show Philly, it's the hood and really of the culture, not having to play like he's down because he really is, because that's how he grew up. So, like, when you have that, that's some more authenticity that Carlton doesn't necessarily have, and that's threatening for him, especially if you're trying to keep it cool with the friends at school, trying to stay in the in crowd.
Will's personality would definitely trump Carlton, so he has to make people not like Will, or Will will knock him off his throne.
Oh, I like that, Raquel, because that's a hot topic right now, though.
It is.
Stuff. Okay.
Have y'all seen Bel Air?
I watch it every week.
I do too. I'm completely caught up.
I wasn't thrilled.
You have to keep watching it. It is boring.
You do. It is.
But
I'll be back.
Yeah, no.
Did she say it is boring, but you have to keep watching it?
Because I was
like,
but
it gets better.
This, but it gets good.
I'm sure that it does. Don't get me wrong. Like I believe that it does, but I also felt a certain kind of way about it anyway. Because again, y'all know how I feel about this generation not being creative and rebooting everything that already was. So I already had some reservations about it before, and then I tried, and I couldn't get down with it.
Yeah, we'll save that for a say what, because I got plenty of questions on. I got a lot of whys. Why?
I heard Ashley's gay now.
It's a lot of stuff that happens.
Yeah, it's a whole lot.
And
Carson's on drugs.
Hillary is smart.
Carson on drugs.
Yes.
So hear me clearly. I understand this is not technically a reboot. This is like a whole new modernized version of it. But I think you should have still kept some of the, the Banks was a classy family that it was kind of like our modern day Cosby family, because a lot of the black issues they didn't have, like all that stuff. But okay, moving on. Main topic, Terry, you're up.
All right, so today's main topic is parenting today. So, as you all know, I have 3 children, 2 teenagers and a grown baby boy.
That's a whole grown man.
Because he acts like he run the world. And so when this topic was slapped on me, I didn't know how to run this, because we are a cast of, some people don't have any biological kids, me as an experienced parent, and then one who's getting ready to birth her first child. So I didn't know which direction to take this. So that's why you guys did not get notes, because it's going to be kind of like a Q&A type thing.
Okay.
So we're going to start off with traditional versus non-traditional parenting.
Okay.
So what's your thoughts on that? First of all, what do you think traditional parenting is? Anybody. Well, I'm going to start calling people. Stop Googling.
You said, what is traditional parenting?
Yeah, what do you think traditional parenting is?
For me, when I think traditional parenting is, children should be seen and not heard. That mentality, don't ask me no questions. Do as I say, not as I do. Go get the belt, or go outside and pick a switch, and you better not get the flimsiest one you can find on the tree.
Okay. Robert, DJ, Chavez.
I actually agree with one of the statements that do as I say, not as I do is more so what I think about when it comes to traditional parenting. Be seen and not heard. We heard that growing up. I agree with those statements for sure. That's what I would think about as well.
Okay.
But I don't think that. So what y'all talking about is cultural differences in parenting styles, right? And parenting techniques, right? That is a very African American centered historical, I won't say traditional, but historical way of parenting, right? But if we look at other ethnicities and other demographics, there's an alternative style to that. And we only focus more on like the disciplinary aspects. And when we think about parenting, we often always default to disciplinarian, but we don't consider child rearing. We don't consider psychological development, social cognition. We don't consider environmental factors. So, I mean, it's a whole lot of things that encompass that broad term of parenting.
But she asked us our opinion though. So I
I
mean,
didn't say that you were wrong. I just
oh,
said
okay. I
what
was
we're
just
talking about are African American historical things of what we consider to be parenting, and then I elaborated.
Right.
oh, okay.
So what about non-traditional parenting?
Put the baby in the dishwasher and put it on the light cycle to rinse it off when it boo boos. I'm joking.
What?
I am joking.
What?
I am joking.
Remind me not to send Omari to your house.
Um,
um,
to me, it's a more of an open mindedness. There are some things that, and I won't share a whole lot now because I know we'll probably get into this, but there are some things that I've seen like a few of my friends do that is a little bit more non-traditional. But it may be cultural too. I can kind of get where DJ's coming from. But as far as what I've seen, there are things that a lot of parents do today, even as far as discipline, that we're not used to. Yeah, more gentle would be that word that I'm looking for.
And it's definitely just doing things that are not as
Mm.
Absolutely, Rakia.
You need to be on this show tonight.
Get into that.
that are not as influenced, right? So when we think about non-traditional, we think about those what we consider like newer techniques, newer styles, newer ways of dealing with stuff, and especially for us as people of color, it's not that they're new. It's just that we typically have not done those things. So it appears that it's
True.
a new way. But there are some vastly different things that have come out over the past couple years as it relates to child rearing.
for me, non-traditional is you're not the parent, you're their friend.
Hmm.
Because a lot of parents are their children's friend, and I don't want to hurt my child's feelings.
You just reminded me what my mama used to say. I'm not your friend, I'm your mama.
Right, because somebody made a Facebook post and it was like, son, I'm cooking pot roast for dinner tonight. I don't want that. Well, what do you want? I'll go buy it. And then it's like olden days is, son, I'm cooking pot roast for dinner. I don't want that. Well, your ass gonna be hungry eating air sandwiches tonight. So, but that's what I grew up in. But nowadays, like, and I can say that I saw my sister do that with my nieces and nephew. Well, my niece and nephew. Like my niece be like, I don't want that tonight. I want this. And my sister's like, okay, well, we'll go get that. Even though you just cooked this meal. And I'd be like, what the? So we got food. We just, we just waste money like that? Like we rich?
I want to answer that so bad, but I don't want to step on your toes, Terry. And you might be getting that, so I'm gonna hold on to that for a second.
That's why I'm quiet.
I'm put a pin in that.
So
Okay,
everybody
so
got inside notes but me. Okay, got it. Let's go.
No, it's not about having inside out, but it's like I want to let her, read the conversation. I don't want to go somewhere she ain't ready for us to go.
So nobody answered it the way that the way that a lot of people think about traditional and non-traditional parenting. So I looked up, different ways that people think about traditional and non-traditional parenting. So one of the top ways that people think about it is traditional, you have a mom and daddy in the household. Non-traditional, single parent.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Okay.
Nobody answered it that way.
Mm-hmm.
So is that important to you to have both parents in the household or single parenting?
So it's for me, it's how you define both parents, because
Whether
I'm a
it's
same gender loving man. So my child's
whether
mother
it's
won't be in
same
the house.
sex, whether it's whatever. However, if two parents in the household, let's put it like that.
I believe, for me personally, it is 100% my preference. However, I am willing to do whatever is best for my son. So now, me and Brittany are great, so nothing like that. But I'm just saying, if we were having to co-parent, and that was what's healthy for us, just to have a parenting relationship, and it was healthier for him, I would rather it be that than us be in a household where we're forcing us to be there because we want to stay together for the child, and it's toxic. Like, yeah,
And contrarily, as a product of a single parent home, I think my mom did a damn good job with me. So,
indeed,
there isn't some, I just think, it's contextual, it's environmental, it's
yeah.
resourceful. And for me, of course, I would prefer to have my partner there when we're raising our child. Absolutely. But I think it really is contingent on that person.
Brittany said I'm taking my son with me. So, Brittany,
I
I'm
can't
with you.
stand you.
I want the house, the car, the kids, and the dog. I want it all.
Oh my god.
Um, for me, I would say my grandmother did a darn good job as well. Ideally, I would love for both of us to be there for the child, but I agree with Chevy that you have a lot of parents who stay in relationships and the toxicity of the relationship dwindles down to the child. The child suffers from that toxicity and it damages their life. I can honestly say that was partially where some of my childhood traumas came from. Shout out to my granny and to my teacher who saw something different, and my therapist who helped me get through it until he decided to go to law school. Check ass. So I'm sorry, I need to go to therapy to get over my therapist. All right, so that's gonna be another topic. But yeah, I agree with Chevy a little.
So, so
You just
y'all
can't
do
fully
know,
agree with
okay?
me.
No.
So I am raising 3 kids, and my daughters are not my husband's. So I'm a blended family. However, my daughter's dad is completely elsewhere. So mm, we we co-parent.
Hmm. Hmm.
That ain't the
Mm-hmm.
word we looking for, but
Hmm.
that's what we're gonna have to go with.
Hmm.
Whew. It's hard. Co-parenting is not easy, especially if you have one that don't see what you're doing as right.
Hmm.
Hmm.
So give me anybody was raised single. DJ, you just said you were raised single parent household. I was too.
Hmm.
Um, how did that work out for you as far as co-parenting? I don't know your story of where your
I
dad was.
mean, I've been very transparent with y'all about that. Like me and my dad did not always have the greatest relationship. In fact, we didn't even develop a relationship until I was probably 25, and my dad died 2 years ago, like right when COVID kicked off. But thankfully, we was able to mend and get some things done. So I mean, my dad was in my life, but we didn't have a relationship. We weren't close. We didn't do any of those things. That you typically expect, for father and son to do. So, but ironically, he spent all of that time with my sister. So that's where a lot of my childhood traumas came from, and a lot of my mistrust of people in general come from. But that's a whole nother conversation. But anyway, I'm saying all of that to say, yeah, the co-parenting thing, it was awkward because my mom tried her best when before she allowed us to make the decision to be able to do stuff, to spend time with my dad, to go over there, to do things with him. But then when I got old enough to say I didn't want to do that, I'm not comfortable, we don't have that relationship, I was able to choose that option, to do those things. And like I said, that didn't keep him from being a part of my life, because my dad was always involved in my life in some capacity. But no, we didn't have that relationship at all, not until I became an adult, and not until after I engaged in therapy and found healthy ways to tell him how all of those things impacted
Robert.
So I would say I was in a blended situation. Because at one moment I'm with my mom, then I'm with my dad, but then my grandma was like, "F this, give me my baby," and I was with her, and so I shared time with them. My grandmother was very religious. My dad was anti-religious. My mother, she was to the streets. She belonged to the streets. So it was what.
Why? Why did you say that like
Because so my mother had a drug problem, and so she belonged to the streets. Like if we was sitting at the house, we was hungry, she wanted to go get a hit, we fended for ourselves. So, and I thank God for therapy because I'm just now coming to terms and I'm able to say that and not like be ashamed of it. Like no, but by the grace of God, she's clean for going on 2 years now. So I'm supportive of it. But I think she did the best she could. My dad was present, but not present, if that makes sense. Um, Financially, yeah, he gave money, and so in my childhood, I was a youth ambassador and I was a public speaker for the city of Atlanta. My dad never came to any of my speeches. He never came to any of my events. He had one award of mine that he got because he had to pick me up for his visitation, and I had won the award. He was like, "Oh, I'm keeping this one." So it's just one of those things. Like he wasn't there. So for me, I said all that to say it's a struggle. If everybody is not on the same page, everybody is not on the same wavelength, it can cause a lot of confusion with the child.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Is so like with me, my grandmother, you go to church Sunday through Saturday. We was at church. And my dad would tell me how pastors are crooks. They just want your money. Pastor driving a Cadillac and everybody on the bus and all this stuff. And then my mother, again, whatever. Then my grandma was like, God, God, God. My dad's like, anti God, anti God. It causes confusion with the child. Chevy chime in. Oh no, Chevy came from a
All
nice
right.
house
So,
with a mama.
See,
right, I'm gonna get
that's
to you.
exactly what I was about to say.
I'm gonna get
That's exactly what I was about to say.
because she didn't come from, you know, her parents are still together
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
to this day. But nobody knew that I was about to do this. So I have one of my daughters right here.
Mhm.
And so I wanted her to give her thoughts on how she feel about co-parenting because she's involved in it.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
You know, you could be completely honest. She's involved in it. She deals with it every day. And this is not my oldest daughter. This is my middle child. And she's in counseling right now because of a lot of the effects of this co-parenting stuff and along with some other stuff. So I want to bring her on and she's going to share her thoughts of how co-parenting affects her.
Okay.
Be on camera.
She sounds like a teenager.
Everybody welcome my niece.
She is.
Right.
My
That
niece.
part.
Watch
The
it.
crowd's going wild. You hear it?
So Jordan, being that you are involved in co-parenting and has been involved in co-parenting for almost your whole life. How do you feel? How does that make you feel? You know.
Um, I mean, it doesn't bother me, honestly. I feel like, yeah, I would like my dad to be like involved, but it's not really an option for me right now. Clearly, I feel like I'm still good with my mother. That she's done all that she can do, and if my dad was here, I think it'd be way different. Honestly, I feel like we're just stable here, and it'd be unstable, rocky ship with him. Kind of depends on who the other parent is, how they treat you and stuff. So,
So, can I ask, why do you feel like it'll be a rocky, shaky ship with him?
mm, that guy is doesn't support me, always judging me. So it's like this one right here, sweet person, never judging me, stuff like that. Understands me, or at least tries sometimes if she can't or something like that. He's just doesn't want to be involved sometimes. So it's kind of
And if I could piggyback, he's like one of those "I'm right, you're wrong" parent.
Hmm.
So it's like he acts as though he's been here before, and so he's doing it again. Versus, this your first rodeo. You don't know more than what I know. We learn this stuff every day. So to
What was
hear her, huh?
what was the teacher's name on Matilda? I'm right,
Miss
you're wrong.
Trunchbull? Miss
Miss,
Trunchbull.
because that's what when she said when you were saying that and she said it, that's what it put me in mind of. I'm big, you're small. I'm right, you're wrong. I'm smart, you're dumb. But in today's world, these kids have something we didn't have growing up. They got the internet. Like
Absolutely.
I know I'm a lot older than y'all. I had Encyclopedia Britannica, where you
A
had to go to the
whole lot.
library and
All
find it,
of it.
and by the time you read the encyclopedia, it's outdated because they don't change the
Mhm.
stuff. But these kids have up to the date minute information like right there. Not being, you guys know I accept any and everybody, but when I was coming up, you was male or female. That's all we were taught. There was
Mm-hmm.
no he. It was he and him, she and her. There was no variety. Now they have a variety. I think what I'm hearing from her is her dad is stuck in that era and hasn't moved forward and doesn't want to move forward to the new millennium.
Absolutely, and that is because I mean, just like she said, she could be herself. She could be free around me, but him, she has to kind of
Alter everything.
You heard what she said. I didn't say it.
Mhm.
She has to alter who she is or what she feels about things because he's very judgmental, um, very judgmental. But he is stuck on what grandmama them did versus what we got going on
Mhm.
now. So that gets us into, do you or will you bring any of your parenting lifestyles into, if you were to have kids, godparents, any of that into to now? What you've done back then to now. Good segue.
Yes,
Why do you say
um,
yes?
because the dad I have now is who I want to bring into this into my new life, into my child's life. My dad now, the conversation we had today, I was on the phone with him for 2 hours at work. I forgot I was actually at work, and this time I was actually working, right? Our conversation was so in depth, and for my dad to open up and tell me that he loves me as his son. I haven't heard my dad tell me he loves me since my grandmother died. Okay, and whoever I have in my life, he's gonna love them just as much as he loves me. That's what I want to bring to my child. I want my child to know you can be straight, gay, bi, tri, fried, die, laid to the side. Whatever you do, I'm gonna love you, and whoever you have in your life, I'm gonna love that person. So that person, I want to bring into my child's life.
Okay, DJ.
Um, love you, mom and dad. Y'all know how I feel, so I'm gonna keep it real. I'm gonna say yes and no. Um, no, because I am the oldest child of four. So some things that I experienced, you know what I mean, were more so my parents kind of, there's no pamphlet to parenting. So they were more so like trying to figure things out with me. Now the parent, it's funny because we have a joke in my family. There's four of us. My brother right under me, we're 2 years apart. After that, I don't know what they was doing. Love y'all. But so we call it the first set and the second set. And the one thing that me and Jaren, the one right under me, we say is the way we grew up was totally different than the last two. However, I don't judge my parents for it. And honestly, I do take a lot of notes as far as their parenting today because I've totally seen them evolve. I had the privilege to watch them literally again from my childhood all the way up to now with, having a 14-year-old in the house still. So I would take some things. Now some things, even today, they know me. No. And it's just we're just different people. And you're also dealing with my parents, my mom is a pastor, my dad's a bishop. So even our beliefs are a little bit different. So there are certain things obviously that may not work for my household, which is um, my son's gonna have two moms. So it's a little different.
Good.
Chile, can I ask you a question? The top two, did y'all get more whoopings than the bottom two just got talked to?
I almost cussed, but yeah.
So okay, so me and my sister said the same thing. Ebony and me, well, A was acceptable. B was a beating. C was don't come home. D was disappear. F was fly far, far away. My younger siblings bring home. F was like, just do better next time. What do you mean do better? Beat him. Like,
Right. We used to get so mad, especially because I'm the only girl too. So it was two different things. Like not only was I the oldest, but then I'm the only girl. So of course my daddy was very strict when it came to me. And then I would see my brothers like out random times, especially the younger two, and I'm like, what? Oh, I had to be in this house at 10 and I had straight A's.
right. Okay, I just want to make sure it wasn't just me. Whew.
DJ.
So, as like I said earlier, absolutely, there are some things that my mom did right, right, and even the negative things that my dad did have taught me to want to do things differently, right? And how to give my child the things that I didn't get or what I would know that I would want for my son. But ultimately, I think the biggest thing that I would do differently is explain things, right? I'm not, and because I'm very curious by nature anyway, I'm not one of those people that just settle on because I said so. I feel like that's a very cowardice response to something. And I feel like if you really want your child to understand why you're doing something or what you're doing, you need to explain. Now, I'm not saying explain your justification behind this is the decision, but give them the opportunity to understand why you're saying what you're saying. I think that's probably one of the main things that I would definitely do differently. The other thing is through a corporal punishment lens, um, not really gonna hone in on that. But I think that there are other ways that you can still get the point across and do
We're gonna
other
get
things
into that.
and everything. So those are my top things that I would do differently, definitely. But again, my mom did some really great things, like instilled in me a sense of responsibility. I'm very independent. I could take care of myself. And I am the only male and the oldest of three. So it was a whole different narrative for me. But she made sure that I could do those things. She instilled that I needed to go to school and I did a great job and, do all of those things. So all of those things that she taught and she did, absolutely, I'm going to carry over.
Amen. Oh, I said amen like I'm at church.
So for me, I'm gonna believe it or not, I'm gonna say yes and no. And I'm gonna say no because if it makes any sense to you guys, I was not raised in a household.
Mhm,
Um, I was everywhere that I could lay my head.
Hmm.
mhm,
Um, so so that's why I say no. Um, unlike my mother wasn't on drugs or nothing like that ever. But she was addicted to gambling really bad, and so if it had nothing to do with gambling, she didn't want no parts of it. But I'm gonna say yes because that made me stronger now. And it made me realize, like DJ said, for me to be dependent, for me to go after what I want, for me to work. It made me a very hard worker. So that's why y'all hear people say, call me superwoman, because it my childhood made me that way. So I'm gonna say yes and no. A lot more of no than yes though, but yes and no. Because I was raised actually by the state. I was in the foster
mhm.
system up until I was 14 years old. And here in the state of Georgia, at that age, you have a say so of where you want to go. And at that point, I was just tired of living the way that I was living. So I decided, let me take me to my dad. Well, at the age of 26, I found out that that man was not my dad.
Mhm.
So I don't know who my biological dad is, and I'm 37. But from what I understand, he's passed away. But that's neither here nor there. Um, so DJ was getting into my next topic, discipline. So how was this? So before, don't talk about now. How was discipline in your household when you were younger?
I was never whipped.
Do you want to go
I
get it?
was I was beat. There's a whole difference. Let me- I've been hit. I got. I'm tired of going to church. Y'all remember the family Bible that had the heart cover and you wrote everybody's name and the children in it. I got beat with that. All right. I got hit with stilettos because she threw a stiletto at me and I do. So you could dodge stilettos now. So shoes came flying at me. I've been hit with the ironing board, the intimidator, belts, switches. I wasn't whooped. I was beat. There's a difference. Yep.
And
And
I'm
I've
just
said this.
gonna
I've
Um,
said this in church from the pulpit, so she know it. I was beat.
and I'm just gonna say Nita Ann was creative. She was very creative. Um, no, because she would do things like because she knew like you could try to whoop us or hit us or whatever, but it wasn't gonna do nothing because we'd just go in our rooms and read books. So she would do stuff like take all of the books out of the house because that would be the thing that would get us to be able to be like, what the hell is going on? Like, you could take the TV, you could take the radios, you could take the video games. I got imagination. I just go in my room, I'll read the books, I'll draw, I'll write, whatever. So that part, was like, okay, but she was creative back in the day. She was real creative. And then came my baby sister, 14 and a half years after me, and it was a whole different mother. But yeah,
What is
Nene
an
was
intimidator?
creative.
The Intimidator is a yardstick that she took a dry erase board marker, dry eraser, and put between another yardstick, taped them together. So when you got hit, it was a tap tap. It was the Intimidator.
Ooh.
Yes, that's the Intimidator. And it was colored, and all of our names was written on it. And so yeah, it was the Intimidator. And to this day, if you come to our family reunion and say Intimidator, all the grown folks we like we know what that is. So yeah,
Oh,
yeah. It intimidated you. Got your ass together though, didn't you? Right.
but you did.
She may have was disciplined in your household back then. Not now, then.
Back then, I did get a lot of whoopings. According to my mama, um,
I could see it.
according to my mama, she told Brittany, because I think I was an angel, but she told Brittany it was because of my mouth. I feel
Mm.
like I'm an angel. However, um, I felt like at that point I was getting whoopings for no reason. But it's funny because I'm the only girl, y'all. So again, like that's my mama. When it came to my daddy, it was a lot of conversation, which is worse than a whooping because he gonna talk you to death, and you never know at the end of that conversation what is gonna happen. Like you might have to write something, you might have to go apologize to somebody. Like it was always something. But also, I can agree with DJ because I got to an age where I was a really good kid. Like again, I graduated high school with 3.8 GPA, and my parents trusted me, so I had certain privileges or whatever. So if I ever did anything that I wasn't supposed to do during that time, they would take things away from me. The funny thing is, y'all gonna laugh because y'all know I'm churchy. The only thing they really could take from me, this is how saved I was as a kid, literally was like youth group or music. I am so serious. I could not go to church one night because I didn't listen. Because I didn't do nothing else, y'all. I really was a good kid. You know what I mean? So you'd be like, "Oh, you're not going to the on the youth group trip this weekend."
Can we get
Wow.
Bishop and can we
Devil's
get Bishop
angel.
can we get Bishop and Pastor on the lines and see if they'll verify that statement?
Devil's
I asked my
angel.
mama to come too. I told her you should have asked her to come on here.
So I have never been whooped in my life, and I say it to this day. My mama come tell you I don't know how to spell whooping. I don't. I know how to spell it, but
We know what you mean.
I'm,
We know what you
I've
mean.
never
My
been.
mama will show you if you like.
I was about to say I got it.
I've
Lord.
never been whooped. But I've seen it, so I know it. I've seen it firsthand. But I've seen it on a different level. So before I go into that, do you think that discipline back then shaped you to who you are now?
Absolutely not.
Yes and no.
Or any kids?
Yes and no.
Why do you say yes and no?
Um, yes, because it taught me to respect adults. It taught me some discipline. Because I believe sometimes a spanking or whooping is necessary, not for everything, but some it did teach me some things. And I say no because sometimes it's overused. Like I know if I sneak out the house, all right, she gonna hit me 5 6 times, and it's over, right? But some things it actually taught me respect. Like I was not allowed to say yeah or no to an adult. It was
Me
always
either.
yes ma'am, no ma'am, yes sir, no sir. Now the couple of times I did do it, I got hit. That taught me how to have respect for adults because and to this day I have respect for adults. Um,
Yes.
it
That's
was
where I'm
fear.
Yes.
going.
Absolutely.
That's exactly where I'm going,
I
Ricky.
mean,
Is
it
the
was
respect
fear
for
because I ain't
fear.
gonna lie. I mean, I got to the point where she just gave me a look. So it
Me
was
too.
fear. But I think it helped shape. I can say this, I didn't become a Unabomber or shoot up a school. So it helped shape
And
me. In my opinion, it shaped me. I can't speak for other people.
And DJ, why do you say no?
No, I said absolutely not.
Right.
Let's be very
Absolutely
clear.
not.
Because, like I said, I really believe you can have conversation and get that same point across without necessarily having to be physical. And and even and some of those things, let's just be real, that was abuse, and it was a form of abuse that has been learned through slave mentalities, that is how you do things. That doesn't make the behavior correct, right? And so when we learn a different approach, and that's part of our own generational and historical and communal traumas, is that we took that down from us. That was a part of what we learned in that experience. But you can have a conversation with somebody and they can understand what you're going through. Now, you may have to have different layers of the conversation or multiple conversations, because kids' brains are still developing, and some concepts they just are not going to understand right away. But there's a way to still enforce those same things without being physical. And I think about those other people where, you know, yes, a lot of people it taught, and I'm gonna use it that way, them to do certain things. But some other people, it caused them to do some devastating things to other people, or lash out to other people, or become those serial killers, etc., because they were lashing back at what was presented onto them. And so when we look at things through the historical lens of trauma and fear and social learning, and that was where I started earlier about environmental conditions, they really do make a difference. And so the one thing that I could tell you about my experience, that I know about me and that I know about me through me in therapy, is that all of the things that I got that was whooping didn't teach me anything. You know what it did? It taught me one or two things. It taught me to either know how to either do what I'm going to do so I can get away with what I'm going to do.
Hmm.
It taught me either to know how to lie better or to be able to do some things. But it didn't help me to see the justification in what it is that you were trying to do. But when we had conversations, because I always was a very inquisitive child, when you had a conversation with me about the justification behind things, I was more apt to listen to you, because I felt like you were treating me like a person. And I think sometimes that's where parents miss the mark. They forget that kids are still people.
Shabay?
Okay, so for me, I actually am kind of in the middle. I do feel like for me personally that the way I was disciplined did, shape who I am as a woman. Um, it's funny because at 31 years old, I have a hard time even now with not saying yes ma'am, no ma'am, yes sir, no sir. It's just in me. I still actually say it to my parents as well. I mean, it just exists in me. I say it in professional settings. It's just who I am. And I don't mind that. A lot of people, even in interviews, are like, "Well, you don't have to do that," but it's very polite. You could thank Valerie for that. Um, um, but at the same time, what I will say is my mom has taught me, because I used to ask a lot of questions. Again, like I told y'all, we had the first set and the second set. So seeing how the younger two were raised a little differently, and they really didn't get as many whoopings as me and Jay did, one under me. Um, she always used to tell me, you have to know your children. You have to know how to discipline each child. So I have to be real. I can see how Jay and I, because we were a little different, probably at points would need whooping. However, I will say there were also times that I did feel like, why am I getting a whooping, or was that necessary? And when it comes to my son, honestly, me and Brittany talked about this.
We're gonna get into
Um,
that. Pause. Pause.
I would do the same thing.
Pause. Nope. Pause. We're gonna get into that because I have a question
Okay.
about that. So
Oh Lord.
go back to what DJ was saying. Those I do feel like hitting a child, whooping a child is a form of abuse. I've seen it. I have a middle brother, and we were living with my grandmother, and my grandmother at the time, she her types of abuse was very creative too. So she would lock just him. I'm the oldest child, and I am the only girl as well. Um, she would lock him in a room. He can only come out to use the restroom. She would push his food in the room as if he was a kid. I mean, like he was in jail or prison. And he would get hit with 4x4s or 2x2s. So
Oh Jesus.
the person he is today, I think he's like that because of his upbringing.
Mhm.
So he's this hardcore poor person, didn't graduate high school. He's actually in jail right now as we speak. Um, So I think that's what shaped him to what he is now. Now he's a sweetheart. Don't get it twisted. But however, I think some of his childhood traumas triggers him to do things that I'm sure he knows he shouldn't be doing. But that's all he knew, and in his life, that's all he knew. So I agree with everything DJ said.
So, but I'm gonna say what, like Sean said. I think there is discipline, and then there's abuse. I think
Mhm.
abuse is
Hmm.
magnified in these kind of conversations. So one thing I will say, I've said, if I have to discipline my child and I'm going to spank or whip them, I will never do it while I'm upset or while I'm mad at the situation, because that's when it
I
becomes
agree.
abuse.
Right.
So for
Hmm.
me, there is some just because if I sit down, no offense, DJ, because I'm all for conversations with a child, but if I'm having a conversation with you and you keep doing it, and I'm having another conversation and you keep doing it because you just gonna talk to me, at some point I'm gonna take it to another level. So I'm always gonna give you that conversation. We're gonna sit down and say,
Hmm.
hey, Bobby, didn't I tell you not to do that? Why'd you
Bobby.
do it?
Bobby.
Because so I went through I'm a foster adoptive parent, so you have to go through 9 weeks of classes where they teach you
Hmm.
how to talk. Because the first day of class they say, what would you do if you came home and your child went in the kitchen and broke all the dishes and threw everything off the shelves and all over the room? What would you do? And people was like, I'm gonna beat that ass. And they was like, no, that's
No.
not what you do. So you're supposed to
Need
sit
to
the
find
child
out
down and
why.
say, hey, why did you do this? I'm gonna ask those questions now, right? And I'm saying, well, we're not gonna do that again because this is why we're not gonna do it again. Okay. Okay, if I come at the next saying you did it again, we're gonna have a more stern conversation, right? It's gonna be some punishment behind it, more severe
Hmm.
punishment, behind it. But if I come at that third time and you did it again, I'm gonna put you in the dishwasher and put on heavy cycle. I ain't got time for this.
Now, hear me clearly. I'm not saying that discipline is not necessary because I think discipline builds character and it creates structure, right? That's ultimately what I'm saying. Again, my point was I think when we think about discipline, it's always that abusive corporal
You
type
should
of
part of
discipline.
it. Yep.
There are other ways to discipline a child other than being abusive or through some corporal means. Like I can really do discipline through, again, conversation first, but also through creative and tactical measures that are going to be tied to what you want or what you desire to resonate why it was wrong.
Okay,
Okay,
agreed.
so we're gonna take this discipline thing a little deeper.
Oh Lord.
So that's why I said
Yep.
stop.
Thank
Pump
you,
your
Lucia.
brakes. There's different ways to show that there are consequences for their action, and absolutely it is. So that's why I told Shabay pump your brakes a little
I
bit.
already knew.
So
I'm not trying to get in trouble. Brittany's in the comments.
that's
She's
tell
in the
Brittany
comments
she know.
heavy.
Tell Brittany she know my number. Come see me.
Well, Brittany said arteria needs to be whooped. That's what she said in the comments.
So, like I've said throughout this whole show, I am a blended family. I
Hmm.
am
Mhm,
married.
mhm,
So now we're getting ready to get into the discipline in these blended families and the new babies or god babies or nieces and nephews and things like that. Now we're about to get into the meat of this thing. How do you guys see discipline? Just picture DJ and Robert if you were in a relationship and the other parent disciplining your child or the child that you have together. How would you look at that?
DJ, you can go first because my answer is gonna be short and sweet.
I think it's definitely it has to be about you have to have that conversation first, right? You got to lay down the ground rules. They got to be on one accord. You got to know that this is what you agreed to, this is what you didn't agree to. Now, if you violate those rules, then you and I gonna have to have some conversations about some things because in that respect, and I'm very adamant about protecting a child's autonomy, but also ensuring that they are not abused. Uh, and so then you cross that line, then me and you gonna have some beef because there are, and again, that's why I believe in personhood. That we do often forget that even though they're kids, they are little people. They are developing people. And just like you didn't get everything right the first time, just like I don't get everything right all the time. I still make mistakes as an adult. You have to expect those same things and those same actions. But there is a level of respect, number one, but there's also a level of accountability on both parts. And I
Mm.
think that if that's the part that, like I said, we got to be on the same page with that. Because if I walked in and we agreed to something and I see something else, then it's me and you.
Okay.
In the
Robert.
famous words of Oprah Winfrey, sitting that jail, I never done robbed you. Cause baby, I agree with DJ. We gotta have a conversation. Cause if your other person put their hands on my child and we have not had that conversation, I'm putting my hands on everybody. When I lay hands, I'm laying. I will preside over your funeral free of charge. That's a conversation we have to have because sometimes people discipline other people's children harder because there's no connection there. You said if me and DJ was together and DJ has an outside child
That's
and that
weird.
child is acting up, I'll call the DJ and be like, hey, um, Rebecca keeps coming in the room acting up, so
You
can
went
you
from
handle that?
Bobby to Rebecca.
Bobby, Rebecca.
Right.
Woo!
Like DJ, Becca is acting up. And Becca needs a timeout. If Becca keeps acting up, I'm gonna say, hey DJ, so if you can't get Becca together, I'm gonna drop her ass off at her mama house. Cause
Uh,
if me and the mama haven't had the conversation and with DJ that it's okay for me to discipline their child because how they discipline may be different, right? So for me, I'm just gonna go back to DJ, get your child. Now if DJ and I are co-parenting, we use a surrogate to have a child, then we're gonna have a conversation how we're gonna discipline our child. DJ will be like, Robert, you cannot put the child in the dishwasher when they act up. I'm gonna say, yes, dear. I'm just gonna put them in the closet. Me and DJ had that conversation.
What?
and by the way, her name will be Kayla, not Becca.
I would hope it would be Becca.
I
Well,
would love my daughter's name. It's like Becca. Y'all didn't watch Pitch
wow.
Perfect?
Yes.
So,
Yes.
so the so I've learned that oh, he's gonna kill me. He's upstairs. So me and my husband just had this conversation because he feels like I don't discipline my girls enough, and I'm talking about just my girls. I don't discipline them enough, and I feel like I do because I'm still learning. I because what I've seen so much of the beating and all that stuff as a child, I don't want to put that on my children, and so I do a lot of talking to them. Again, they're human, they're people, they have feelings, they have emotions, they have all of this stuff, so why can't I just talk to them? And he feels like I don't do enough, so somebody had to break it down to me. And the reason why he feels that way is because he feels he's protecting me as his wife, and he feels like they're disrespecting me as the wife and not just their mother. So I had to look at it from a different lens. I was like, okay, that makes sense now. So Shabbat, being that you about to bring this baby into this world,
I have so much to say, and I'm like, Lord.
you about to bring a baby into the picture, into you guys' marriage. Have you guys had the conversation of disciplining him?
Yes. If Legacy Mama tell him to do something and he don't do it, how she disciplines him is how she discipline him. If I send him to your house, you're his godmama. I'm gonna be straight up. Don't call me and tell him he acting a fool, because if you told him to do something, he needs to do it. And he's going to know that if he does not do what Godmommy told him to do, then we will have that conversation when he gets to me. I don't play them kind of games. It's funny because my mom was opposite now, and I feel like I have become more of my mom. The only reason is because for me, there is a level of respect. That I fuss at your girls. I'm the same way. Because you're in my house and I'm paying bills. I don't ask you to do much. If I ask you if it's something simple, clean your room. And we've had this conversation 2 times. I've taken away something and you feel like this is a joke. Oh, you want to talk about mothers?
I'm sorry. I
Okay.
don't mean to laugh.
You feel like this is a game. Okay. Well, at that point, we have to take other steps. I do not want to whoop my child. I don't. It's my last resort. Me and Brittany have had this conversation. That is not what I prefer. But if it came down to it and he is 100% acting a fool, which I highly doubt, because me and Brittany are really on the same page when it comes to this stuff. I do.
Okay.
I'm gonna tell you, there are
He don't
certain
know who
things.
his mama's is yet.
He might not. What he might do is get with y'all and try it, because I don't think, because of how we are a lot alike. I'm just being honest. So when it comes to parenting, like, both of us are pretty stern. Like,
Are you sure about that? Because Brittany put in the comments, beat him.
That's why I said. That's why I said if we're very stern. And my thing is, and she knows how I feel about it. Like he needs an understanding. I don't agree with just beating your kid or whooping your kid for no reason. I
Mhm.
couldn't stand. There were times where I did not understand why I was getting a whooping. Okay, I didn't. And I do wish that there were times that my parents would sit down and talk to me and say, "Hey, I've asked you to do this 3 to 4 times, and you didn't do it. So now, this is what we're doing." You know what I'm saying? And my parents, they're different now, but I just personally feel like um, there comes a point in time where we're gonna have to change the game because that talking ain't working. Now I'm gonna do everything I can to talk to you, take things away, but if we get to that end piece, unfortunately, we're gonna have to go back to them old school Bible days.
So y'all see my children. Y'all see my children, right?
Mhm.
They about as big as me. I'm not about to chase these grown ass kids around. No,
I was
I
too
can't
afraid to
be
run back in
chewing
my
me out
day.
of breath at the same time. That don't work for me.
So let me tell you what my grandmama used to do, because my grandma was 4'9", and when she got that belt of the Intimidator, I took off running. I ran track, baby. You ain't finna catch me. How you doing? She would wait till I go to sleep. I get in that bed, get up on that blanket, snatch that cover off, whop her. Now where your ass going? So yeah, no, Chevy. So I got two questions. Chevy, the reason why I laughed when you talked about clean up the room, because my sister told my niece to clean up her room, and my niece was like, "Bruh, I said I'll do it." My sister's like, "Who the fuck is your bruh?" And next thing I know, my niece was calling me, said she knocked me down the stairs. So that's why I started laughing. But Terry, so let me ask you this question, because Omari is my favorite godson, right? How would you? What is your disciplinary procedure if he came to St. Louis when he moves to St. Louis when he turns 3, and he started acting up? What is your disciplinary procedure? What would you want me to call you and say, Arteria? Omari's up here busting out people's windows.
Busting windows?
Why would you bust windows?
I mean, that was a big leap. Like we can't busting. I don't. I guess people can call me a softie because I still regard. I do not. I guess again my upbringing. I've
Right.
seen beatings on a different level.
Mhm.
Like I didn't
That's
see it with
abuse. What
belts.
you're talking about?
I didn't see it with belts. I didn't see it with switches. I seen it on a different level. So that's why I am. That's why my mindset is the way that I seen it completely different. So I believe in conversation. I
So you're
do.
like Sean's wife. You just you the resident tattletale.
No,
Cass.
Sean says she's the resident tattletale because her
Oh
wife is sensitive because of her childhood.
yeah.
Honestly, Arteria, I do totally understand what you're saying, and based on like what you told us tonight, in my opinion, that is 100% abuse. I feel like people need to know the difference. And
Yeah.
again,
Right.
for me personally, we got to get to that end point before I'm even going to put a hand on you. I do feel like my look should do enough. My mama used to just hang a belt on the door after she told me the first time to clean my room. And after that belt was hanging on the door, I cleaned my room.
So for the record, Brittany says you should chase them and tie them up when they sleep. Cass says sometimes talking. So let me tell you what I learned about Casimir Ferguson just from that comment. His mama whooped that behind. His
And
mama
did.
tore that butt up.
And did. And did.
So
Kaz
I
is
get.
really my husband is more so of a and he ain't never been in the military, but he's military. He has this military
Mhm.
mindset. And I'm just like, yo, dude, pull it back a little bit. Like, come
So Kaz is all for spanking Amari's booty, and mommy is want to talk to his heart. Gotcha. Because I owe him a whooping, and he turns 1 this year. I told him on his first birthday, I'm tapping that, but you kicked me, bro. I'm gonna kick you back. Yeah.
so what we at? All right. So now we're gonna get into these children today.
There's children today.
Well, these baby adults,
Yeah,
whatever
I was
you
about to
want
say
to
because
call
they miniature grown people.
these baby adults today. Um,
They
these
stress me.
attitudes are on 5,000.
Mhm.
These mouths are on 5,000.
But do you think it's what they see in the household? Do you think it's what they see on social media? Do you think it's their friend? What do you think it is? Only thing I'm pulling back is a whip.
Oh my God.
Bring
Ah.
D-packs on speed dial. If you done a beat my boy, baby, I'm DFAT's gonna be knocking at your door.
Terry, I think it's a combination of all. I think it's what the atmosphere, the culture that they're getting at home. I think if you're, and I think it's also this new generation, mommy and daughter goes to the club together and they're chasing after the same man type situation. So I think it's the home environment and is access to information.
I agree,
Let me
Cass.
let me rephrase that. Unmonitored access to information.
Yeah,
Because I'm at the point now where I'm gonna delete my Snapchat because I had someone send me a friend request. I'm just like, I don't know who it is. It said we have 14 friends that comes add, hey, what's up, blah blah blah. How big is your And I was like, how old are you? 14. Blocked. Nigga, you trying to get me put under the prison? My name is not
ooh,
Yeah, I almost said a name.
ooh.
So I think these kids now are, because they don't have monitored access to public information, this too much, in my personal opinion. I want my son to have access. I want him to have knowledge, but I want it to be governed. I want it to be monitored. My nephew was the only 5-year old I know who had HBO. Y'all know what HBO does after dark when we was little,
That ain't HBO no more.
right?
I
It's
was gonna say, is
everything.
that HBO today?
Well, back when we was little, HBO after dark was a thing. And
It
then
was.
my sister thought it was cute when he was like 5 years old with a shampoo bottle, and he was humping the shampoo bottle because that's what he saw the man doing on the doggone thing. Except he had a flashlight, but my nephew thought the shampoo bottle was the same thing. I think it's parents have to be parents. You have to teach and educate your kids.
So true,
Um,
Sean.
if my child comes to me and say, "Dad, I want to try an edible," I'm fine with that. If you're at 16, if you want to try an edible, have a seat in the living room with me and your dad. We gonna do this in a controlled environment versus you
I
going out there
agree.
with somebody who doesn't put something in it and now you lazy, running around barking like a chicken, clucking like a dog. Ain't got time for it.
Now that I completely agree with.
I do
So
too.
my my daughter should be 17 this year, and so it her 16th birthday, I kind of took that from her because that was the same day of my gender reveal, and she was like, "Mommy, I want to take a shot," because everybody was like, "We having fun."
Mhm.
You with me? Okay, come on. Let's
Hmm.
get this out now so that if you like it, you like. If you don't,
You know,
we've
right?
already squashed it. So I agree with that. Sean said something that was very true because my daughters tell me that all the time that I'm doing too much. All I hear, or I'm being weird, or my oldest daughter says that to me all the time, and so I'm like, what do you mean I'm doing too much or I'm being weird? All I'm saying is no. You can't do this, or no, you can't have that, or why do you? I'm asking questions, and she tells me I'm doing too much or I'm being weird. Set bound. A lot of younger parents are afraid to set boundaries with their children because they're being raised with the kids.
I was about to say, I don't think it's that they are afraid to set boundaries. They don't know what boundaries are because they're a child.
Yeah, they
You
raising each other.
you have 15-year-olds having babies. You're still a baby. So how can you discipline your child when you haven't been disciplined?
True.
So DJ, you have nieces, nephews.
Mhm. I do.
How are you with the attitudes today? So they coming out the womb with attitudes.
I don't know. My family is a little different. They're a little bizarre, so that's on a whole nother spectrum. But I think part of it though is the autonomy, and I think that's the first thing, right? That they're given far too much autonomy, and oftentimes they're given far too much responsibility that they're not able to understand or tackle. And so
Yes.
we put them in positions where we force them to be more mature than they're supposed to be. And a lot of kids don't get to be kids. They're thrust into this environment of immediately having to be grown and immediately having to be responsible. And so when we then engage them, right? They've dealt with all of these things, they did all of this stuff, and they're in all of these places, and a lot of them really do have a lot of traumas behind that too. And so some of it is really lashing out. Some of it, of course, is just a lack of discipline and a lack of boundaries. But again, most of it is just that now, unfortunately, with the way that people are having babies at younger and younger ages, and babies are having babies, they're forced to be adults much faster than they have to be because that's what is going on. And so we do end up encountering baby adults that aren't adults in the mind, but they've lived the life or the actions of an adult.
True. Chevy. So you have a niece, my mind.
That's my baby.
That's my
Yes.
baby.
Bye.
No, it's not.
Um, so you have a niece,
I
and
do.
you have younger brothers, 14.
Yes.
So
14. So it's funny because again, like I said, we were raised differently. So I had before I moved to Atlanta, my youngest brother and my niece, they would stay at my house all the time. And I remember one of the last times, Bug, we call him Bug, Hayden. He's the baby of us. And he stayed with me and I forgot what he did, but I told him that we're not doing this, and his response was, well, mama lets me do it. And my response to him was, um, well, mama's not here and this is my house. So what we're not going to do is this. Even with I just, there's a difference, and I understand that we're in a different time. Um, However, I do feel like we lack discipline today.
mm,
Um, and it does bother me. I can't stand when I hear, honestly, feel it gets under my skin to hear a child get smart with their parents or to tell their parent no, because even at 31, I'm not doing it. And she probably watching and laughing right now, but she knows it's the truth. I respect my mama. Even like I would never, like it's funny because my grandma will take shots together, but I'm not doing that with my mama.
But I think that's a respect, right? And so
Hmm.
that's
Yeah,
different, and that's different than discipline. And I think they do go hand in hand, but those are two different facets of what you're talking
agreed.
about. And
Yeah,
discipline, I think we often think about that negatively, but discipline is structure. Discipline is setting boundaries. Discipline is creating those things that people understand is a very clear and concise path. And we don't necessarily look at it in that lens, but I ain't trying to take away from your moment. I just wanted to be
no, 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 no.
clear,
I
clear.
agree. I agree, and I actually feel like discipline, in my opinion, discipline can, in a sense, help in teaching respect in some regard.
Hmm.
Hmm.
So the lack of discipline sometimes to me is a direct result when I see like a child or sometimes a teenager being disrespectful to their parent. Because for me, again, I knew I couldn't. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I still had privileges. Don't get me wrong. Again, like I told you, I was a good kid. In high school, I basically could do what I wanted to do because I had straight A's. I was working a job. Like I had a good life. So if I asked my parents, "Can I go out with my friends?" Of course, I had a curfew, but at the same time, it was rarely ever a no. But I understood that if my daddy said to be in at 12 and I came in at 12:15, that I was in trouble unless I had communication like, hey, we're running late because of this, that, and the other. So
Hmm.
it's just a different, the times are different. So I don't know.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
hey, Ricky, can you put Sean's comment back up, the last one?
Hmm.
I think many people try so hard to avoid the abuse they experience that they avoid actual disciplinary opportunities.
I completely agree with that
I
statement.
agree
Right. So I had
Mm,
to bring it back. So,
because, and I think that goes in hand with like what Arteria. Arteria saw abuse, so she doesn't do that. I saw
and that was
extreme abuse,
100% abuse.
right? So I'm not gonna do that.
Hmm.
Like, so my son will know the intimidator. It won't be used on him, but
Right.
he'll just sit because I got the intimidator was used on me. I'm just gonna use it as an intimidator to intimidate my son. But no, Chauvet, what you were saying, these young kids, I was in Dollar General, down the street from where Terry used to stay, and this young lady told a child, he had to be maybe 5 or 6 years old. She was leaving. She says, "Come on, I'm gonna leave you," and he said, "No, the fuck you not." It took everything in my power not to grab the rack and hit him with it. Like,
Not the rack.
because her response was, "Didn't I tell you not to talk like that?" So for him to feel
Oh my
comfortable
god.
enough to boldly say, "No, the fuck you not." So one that told me you use that type of talk at your household, but for you to say
Yes,
it
I was gonna
toward
say,
this
how did we get
woman,
there?
Well,
How did we get there is gonna be my
not
question. How did you
exactly.
feel comfortable enough to say that? How do we? To me, that's a perfect example of lack of discipline. Because how did you feel that comfortable?
Not exactly. It could just be access. And again, we're forgetting those things because, again, as we all have said it and glanced over it, there's more access to more things in much faster speeds at much of a fingertip.
Media.
Everybody got a cell
There
phone,
doesn't have to
everybody
be.
got a tablet, everybody got a laptop or whatever. So it doesn't necessarily mean that those type of behaviors are in the household and being conducted, but they have access to it.
There
but
doesn't have to be. That's
that
the
means you're not.
problem. Because
No,
It's
no, no. I agree with
unrestricted
you.
access. It needs to be restricted access, or it's one that where when a little kid come up with like says a cuss word and mom like, "That's so cute. Say it again." No, that ain't cute. Who was that? In
can,
Brandy.
can I get my
She
comments
she
posted? Because
she
they're
she she's been on the show. Her son was like, "So I can't say ass?" And she's like, "No, you can't. That's a bad word." He says, "So ass is a bad word?" She says, "Yes, it's a bad word. So I'm not allowed to say ass." She said, "If you say it again, I'm gonna beat your ass." You know what I mean? That's a,
That was that was Brittany, but yes.
yeah, that was Brittany. It was so cute. But I was like, "That's so cute." But at the same time, she put him back in his place to let him know, "Don't say that." Right now, if he continues to say that, that's when you say, "Hey, I'm gonna pop." And Arteria, just for the record, you put me and DJ together to have kids. We cannot have kids because he won't let me put my child in the dishwasher. Because damn it, the hell, we finna cleanse you
wow,
with Dawn
Again,
wow.
soap.
I'm not
again,
going to jail.
again.
Girl,
Do
me,
not,
me
do
and
I'm
you
not
both.
surprised.
forget the
I'm
warrant.
surprised.
Look, I'm with
The
Brittany.
warrant.
Brittany said, "I wish Legacy would."
Girl, let me tell you something. Me and you both, because I'm gonna tell you this right now. He will never be that comfortable. I'm gonna tell you what my mama does, and
They
it's
put
funny
the
because I used to judge
Right.
my mama for her way of parenting, but Bug actually has restricted access on his phone. Even when he's at school,
Hmm.
Bug
Yep.
can only text within our family group or contact mom or dad. And
Yep.
even at night, at a certain time, guess what? His phone
Pause.
is shut off.
Yep.
Hmm.
I agree with
And
you,
that's
brother.
he's a great kid.
They put it on TikTok and IG, and it's showing, giving them, so they feel like it's giving me fame and clout. Like, why do we keep posting kids fighting?
But
How?
again, where do you get that from? And I think that's the larger issue that I'm trying to drive home with the psychological components of this conversation. It's a learned behavior.
It
Somebody
Bingo.
didn't
is.
just wake up one day and say, "This is what I'm going to do." It was a learned behavior, and somebody else enforced that it was okay, and then somebody else enforced that it was okay. And it's much harder to unlearn a negative behavior than it is to learn a behavior. So
I
now we're
agree.
in a situation now where we're trying to get people to unlearn negative behaviors that have happened for generations at this point, even though they're short term, because it's like 10 years between this person, 10 years between this person. They're shorter generations, but this is a learned behavior over generational gap.
I have a
Arteria,
question.
go ahead.
So hold on. So Brittany went right into what I was just
Okay,
about
that's
to
the
say. These parents are praising the disrespectful
Mhm.
behaviors on social
they
media.
do.
But
Like
again, look at the world
it's
that we live in.
yep.
Do you ever see anything on social media that highlights people being positive, upstanding, that are
No.
creative? You rarely see that, right? But you see the negative people, you get the things that's highlighted. If I could pull up my trend right now and see people fighting or cursing or stripping or all, those are the things that are trending. So again, it's learned. If I don't see those positive things being highlighted and reinforced, I'm not going to think that that's okay. Or, if
Yeah.
I'm in an environment where if my only outlet is I know that this is what you do to get out of this situation, because we see that all the time.
Yeah.
Then of course they're going to believe that that's the outlet. But you don't see people like us that's like, I go to work every day, I do okay. I don't do make thousands or millions of dollars, but I do all right. I do very well for myself. That's not highlighted and that's not celebrated. And so
Absolutely.
then we can't expect for a generation or anybody to come in and then want to have these values or instill these things, but it's nowhere for them to find it. And then when you do
So true.
highlight it, you get one like, right? You put a positive thing on social media, you get one like. But
Yep.
as soon as you say something negative, as soon as you're talking about what's going to happen on these things,
It's trending.
everybody is liking it. It's reposted, it's reblogging, all of those things.
Yep. It's like the game of telephone.
Yeah.
I love that game.
I just wanted to know, like, because for me, I know somebody said something, and I know we are making a joke about somebody saying like, "Hey, if you say that one more time, then I'm gonna beat your ass." That is something that does get under my skin. I don't know how y'all feel about like cussing at your children or cussing even with your children in the room, but I completely disagree with it because for me, and I told Brittany this too, if me and Brittany are cussing in front of Legacy and he cusses, I'm sorry. At- I feel like that's our fault. I cannot
Agreed.
discipline my child for something that he seen me do.
Mhm.
I can tell him that I would have to apologize first and admit that I was wrong. You know what I mean? But you don't see that a lot of times. So these kids are cussing. I have a family member whose kids cuss, and she laughs and says it's cute, and then the kid gets in trouble at school, and
You
it's
got big
like,
teeth.
you hear me?
That's and so my kid, especially my oldest, she'll slip up and say a curse word every now and then, and I'll give her a look like, "Don't say that again." But it's because
I
me.
Mhm.
remember. I remember something.
You're right. I don't give
Yeah,
a
see.
yes, baby. All
I
right,
forgot
guys.
about that.
This is a good conversation, but we gotta get we gotta get ready to wrap it up with our final thoughts. We got one more commercial break. After this commercial break, we'll be back with our final thoughts on parenting today. We'll be back.
California
Beep, beep,
knows how to party.
knows how to party.
California knows how to party.
Look, if I had the little sound machine, I would do it. Hey, right? No, that's the rolling with the homies from Cleveland. Rolling with the homies.
You know, Teen Valley, California
Rest in
movie.
peace, Brittany
It
Murphy.
ties in.
Rest in peace, Brittany Murphy.
Oh my God, rest in peace, Brittany Murphy.
All right.
Oh,
We came back too soon. I was looking at the menu. My eyes crossed and I came back. Don't judge me. All right.
oh.
That commercial supposed to be longer. Um, yeah, California. No doubt about it. We rolling with the hum. All right, Terry. Final thoughts. You got to kick it off. How much would your chuck of wood chuck wood?
All of it.
So my final thought would be, as a parent, don't feel bad for discipline the way that you choose to discipline. Don't let nobody make you feel any certain kind of way because you chose that way.
Amen.
Amen.
I need to go to church. DJ
Good.
Vay. DJ Oshave.
I'm gonna go because I see your finger. I'm just gonna say, there is no guide to parenting. There's no quote unquote right and wrong way to do it. There are some things that you absolutely should probably avoid, and I think we talked about that a
Yeah.
lot. But give yourself the grace to make mistakes, and give yourself the accountability to do better.
That was good. That was good.
That was good. Come
That
on.
was good. We're gonna pass the offering plate.
Really.
Put your cash up on the screen.
What?
Thank you for watching.
Thank you, Sean. Thanks, bruh.
Yes.
No.
We'll have you on the show soon. Oh, we will have you on the show soon, bruh. Uh,
Mhm.
Vay, you want me to go or you go?
I'll go. I agree with both Arteria and DJ. That's kind of my thinking. There is no perfect way of parenting, and my final thought is that I thank my parents for teaching me that at a young age. Again, like I said, having the first and second set of kids and needing that understanding of why we were raised this way, and now things seem a little lighter here. But I completely understand why my parents make the decisions they make today versus back then, certain influences, the way they were raised, and they just didn't know. So give yourself some grace. And those of you that are struggling with the thoughts of your own childhood trauma, give your parents some grace because no one knew. I'm telling you now, I have all these different emotions that I did not expect to have, thinking about even bringing a child into this world. And I can't imagine that my parents were much different, not really knowing what to do, feeling like, am I going to be a good parent? So everybody deserves the same grace.
My final thoughts are what DJ said. I told him I wrote that for him, so he just read what my thoughts were. Um, No,
Wow.
for real. Like I laugh and joke. I say put them in the dishwasher. No, I'm all about talking to my children. Get an understanding why kids do what they do. Remember, they're kids, right? They're little people. They're supposed to make mistakes. Like you're an adult, you know that you're supposed to clean your room. For them, cleaning their room is throwing everything under the bed, right? They're kids. Let a child be a child. Let them
Yeah.
trip and fall. Let them make mistakes and coach them toward greatness. If they continue to fail, continue to mess up, that's when you get an intimidator and you intimidate their little behind. And
It's
then
just
once you,
totally changed. Like
because like you said, you give them that
we
look.
were doing so good.
We was in
Okay.
when I was in church and I
What
started
on
acting
no?
up, she'll just do this and you just because you just scale. So talk to your kids. Let your children be children. Let them grow as children. Learn. If you make a mistake, pick yourself up. Hold yourself accountable. I love Chevea said, "I'm gonna apologize to my child when I mess up and say, hey, I apologize,' because that shows them you're being accountable, so that they can be held accountable."
Yes.
All right, y'all. This wraps up another dynamic, awesome, phenomenal episode of No Clue. Shout out to Ricky Z Media for our production company. Shout out to you for always doing what you do, keeping us on point, keeping us on task. Once again, like us on Facebook, join the Facebook group, share us on Facebook, share us on Instagram, follow us and subscribe on YouTube. Subscribe to Patreon. Email us at nocluetheshow@gmail.com. You guys, we have the Parks Weekly guy in the comments. Welcome him back. We got Sean on.
Hi,
We
Dad.
we'll be bringing people on. We're getting ready to have some great guests come on. So keep in touch. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your enemies, tell your brothers, sisters, tell the top half, the second half, the third half. Tell everybody. All right. As a matter of fact, tell everybody and then tell somebody else. Bam. Because when you think you have life figured out, guess what you feel realize? You have what?
No
No clue.
clue.
Deuces.